What's up? What's up? What's up, everybody? Welcome to From the Forum Friday night show. I got a slew of awesome people with me, and somebody's apparently digging in the wrappers. Captain, is that some of that leftover Halloween candy there?
Yeah, it is.
So, Jack, you don't know this, but I don't know if you know this or not, but Captain is also from up there where you are, and we had a long conversation last week about what Smarties were in Canada versus what they were here in the U.S. And then we learned what Rockets were, which I thought might sound like a drug. So
I had this whole debate with my wife as well because she's from Iowa. So this is something that we have gone through as well. The whole difference between Smarties and Rockets and just candies in general, like even their Reese's are different. They have only 2 in a pack and they're larger, whereas we have 3 and they're smaller.
Yeah, it's like they just decide to rebrand everything up there, you know. Same stuff. I mean, literally the Rockets package, even the same logo across it just says Rockets instead of Smarties. You know, it's like, what the heck? Anyways, we got a good show for you. Lots of questions tonight. Appreciate everybody that's tuning in or will tune in while this thing is going. I just want to give everybody a second to introduce themselves, tell the audience where they can find your work, where they can follow you on social media, etc. Jack, you've done it before, so you start us off, and then we'll go Joe and Captain.
All right. Well, I mean, it's Crown Jewel tomorrow, so I got to break out the LA night. Yeah. But no, right now I'm doing a lot of work on Wildcard Wednesdays is the big thing right now. I brought it over to Spotify. There are some lost episodes that are available only on my YouTube. So still go check out the YouTube for the video episodes. But otherwise, Wildcard Wednesday, where I get to interview other content creators about random stuff and silly hypotheticals, are mostly all over on Spotify now. So they are in podcast form. That was like a big thing that I felt like people needed. And then the regular fantasy shows are still just all on YouTube. But otherwise, you can also find me on Twitter, and I got some stuff on TikTok and Facebook.
Awesome.
Next.
Yeah, you're next, Joe.
So Joe Bond. I am the founder of FantasySixPack.net. You can find me on Twitter at F6P_Joe. It's the number 6. I've been doing it for a while. Been pretty successful at the rankings over on Fantasy Pros, top 5 a few times. So, we got a pod on Thursday nights. We got our own YouTube channel over there, a bunch of stuff going on. The site does football, basketball, baseball, hockey, golf, DFS, you name it, we do it. So come check us out.
I'll go. All right, Captain. Is Captain there?
We're muted.
You're muted?
There we are.
There it is.
Yeah. It's James. I think I know this by now. I'm on often with the Fantasy Football Advice Network guys. Pretty often now. I do a lot of my work mostly spring into the summer doing rookie profiles for those guys. Few weeks into college now, I'm just starting to watch film now, so I'm getting pretty excited to start giving some teasers, and maybe I put together a little package of rookies for people coming up. But you can follow me on Instagram and Twitter here at FFAN Captain, and just tune in each week here, and I'm bound to show up eventually.
Well, I'm looking forward to those rookie profiles. That's going to be good stuff. Just sending out a couple more links as we kind of get the show rolling here. All right. So any thoughts? I notice, Jack, you are rocking your Steelers hoodie. Probably proud after that big interception to close out Thursday Night Football. How you feeling?
I'm more proud that I saw an actual Pittsburgh power offense for once, and not this dopey shotgun from 7 yards behind the line of scrimmage. that was honestly the most impressive thing that I saw. We had an actual run game for the first time all year, which is funny because I hate drop Najee Harris in one of my main leagues, but I was already 2-6, and I have him in like a slew of other leagues. So I manifested a decent game for teams that actually needed it. And it didn't hurt me that bad, but yeah, it was nice to see like an actual run game. Like I said, Jalen Warren even looked good. So just overall, nice win. Still gross. I mean, we're under 400 yards for like 3 years now, or whatever it is. Like, I still think we need to change for Matt Canada in the offseason. It'll be ridiculous if we don't, but the Steelers have always been kind of a slow-moving iceberg, so it is what it is. It's just nice to see a winning record.
Yeah, I saw you tag on to that post. So somebody asked us on the Twitter account. They were like, do I start Najee or Brian Robinson Jr. this week? And like, I mentioned on there, I'm like, I've started Najee like every week, and I'm like sitting there hoping that it's going to be the week that it pans out, and sure enough, it's like, and I said this in the message, I was like, if I tell you this week to go the other way, Najee will have the week. And then you came in and seconded it. You were like, yeah, don't go Najee. And watch, he's going to blow up. And I mean, we didn't get blow up, but at least we got a nice tutty, So.
But it's the dichotomy of fantasy football as a whole is like the process, the logic, the common sense, the stats, the defense, the matchup, the Thursday night. Everything is screaming in your face not to start Najee. So, of course, starting him was the right call.
We got some people popping in. What's up, Albert? Appreciate you for tuning in. You're always there. Got Anthony coming over from Facebook. Usually if you see Facebook user, it's Anthony, but we don't, on Streamlabs, it just so shows Facebook user. So Anthony, appreciate you tuning in. And we got one of our first questions. I don't know how to pronounce your name, but I appreciate you tuning in as well. I'm not going to butcher it, but it looks like a pretty big question here. So I guess we're getting the roster here. You got Dak, Kyler, running backs, Kyron, Brees, JT, Javante, wide receivers. It never fails. Like every week we get a question with some kind of roster, and I'm like, how the hell does that happen? Like, how do you end up with Brees and JT and CD and Cup and like all the Amon-Ra all here on the same team? But he's got so he traded Kyron and Kyler and Marquise for Amon-Ra. How did I do?
So this guy was actually on my show last night and proposed the same question. So he's already got my answer. But I will quickly say my answer just because I already know it. I like the trade. You don't need Kyler. I don't want to rely on him the rest of the year. Dak's already passed his bye week. Kyron's injured. JT and Javante are kind of coming back around. Brees, is taken over already. And Marquise Brown is Marquise Brown, so you're picking up Amon-Ra. That solidifies his offense, I think, a lot there. So I like it.
Yeah, I like it too. I like it a lot. You're pretty rich at running back, so to be able to upgrade in a big way, that's huge.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I like getting Amon-Ra. I like my starting wide receivers being Amon-Ra, CD, and Cooper Kupp. Depth pieces for like a solid wide receiver 1 or RB1. Like I'm always going to be game on that trade. May make you a little thin, but still worth it. So I'm in on it too. I think you did good.
Convinced that Kyler starts, and if he doesn't, then you basically just upgraded Hollywood for an injured Kyron.
Well, I mean, you could ride that Dak CD, stack for a while. I think that, it's looking like Dak might be okay. Might have a decent floor for you, which everybody was, obviously. And I see Joe over there kind of shaking his head. That's everybody's attitude when you start talking about Dak. You're like, Dak, and then everybody's like, maybe.
He just has those games, man, where you're like, what the hell happened? That the problem is their defense is so good. Their offense doesn't need to score points in a lot of games. And we've seen that, 4 out of the 8 weeks they've played so far. He hasn't really put up a lot of points. So, I mean, you're talking, the last couple of weeks have looked really good. Week 2 was solid. Outside of that,
Yeah, I'm with you. Got a couple more people tuning in. Sports affiliation, what's up, everybody over there? Killer group of people. Got first-time viewer Steven, thank you for tuning in. Hit that like button, hit that subscribe button. We always have a good time on the show. Jack's get a little love, kind of. We should trade Jack in the show for a bag of deflated footballs. That would probably be more entertaining. And then he also wants to know what happened, Jack. Did you lose your sunglasses? Where's our cameo this week?
Oh, the sunglasses, yeah. I mean, I took a nap, so I guess I just didn't need them for tonight. No, usually it's like when my eyes are like stinging, I actually have to switch to the sunglasses. It's kind of hilarious, but it's also an homage to one of my favorite comedians of all time. Shout out Mitch Hedberg.
yeah.
What's up, Whitney? Thanks for tuning in. Yeah, no, we do enjoy the cameos, Jack. We do enjoy the sunglasses. And thank you all. We love when everybody tunes in. It's always a fun show. Hit us up with your start-sit questions. Hit us with your trades. We know that we are approaching the deadline, the trade deadline, unless somehow you have one of those leagues where they like extend it way beyond where it should be, and then you get the collusion fights or whatever. But, we are hitting trade deadline traditionally in fantasy football. So pop those in here. Next question. Chuba or Stevenson, full PPR this week. Who you taking, Captain?
Yeah, just looking at see who Panthers are they playing each other this week? I don't think so, are they?
No, Carolina gets Indy. New England gets Washington.
Oh, I kind of like that Stevenson matchup, especially with both defensive ends leaving town. It's probably going to be a nice day for him and Zeke.
Yeah, I mean, up the middle, you still have Deron Payne, but, to the outside, who do you got? Like, you're getting second level for sure, it feels like. What do you think, Joe?
Yeah, he also asked this question last night. I went with Stevenson last night, and you know what? With the news that now Chuba, not that it was like a total surprise, is the official starter for the Panthers over Miles Sanders. It does make it even closer. I mean, this is a true coin flip for me. I still want to lean Stevenson, mainly because I think that Washington defense will be reeling even more than it has. I mean, their only strength was the run game, and now even that's gone. So I kind of want to say Stevenson. PPR, that's still his strong suit, in my opinion. So,
yeah. Jack?
I mean, I lean Chuba. My big problem with Stevenson is that the targets just haven't been there in the way that I thought they would be.
Yeah,
especially
I agree.
The way that they've been losing wide receivers. Like I think he's had a max of 6 targets in any given game this year. And then they've relied on carries. They're splitting with Zeke. It's just New England's offense I don't know if it's going to be able to necessarily take advantage of even a good matchup, whereas the Colts have just been in shootout after shootout after shootout. That's kind of their thing this year. I think I'm just rolling with the hot hand in that sense and going with Chuba and the potential of that higher scoring matchup versus what I'm expecting from New England, Washington.
Yeah, I'm with you. I mean, it's tough because Chuba, it has been effective when he gets the ball. The only thing that leans me a little bit in Stevenson, and I haven't been on the Stevenson train much this season. I thought the 3rd round pick for Ramondre was crazy, So that was just my thoughts on it. But I do think this week, with being down in receivers, we see a lot of double tight end sets from New England. And, Washington obviously just let their 2 big outside defensive linemen go. So, that gives me a little hope. Like, Ramondre needs an edge. Like, he's not going to be up the middle guy. Like, he needs to be able to hit the edge and get some space and get out there. And I think based on the moves made, based on what they're going to have to run with the limited receivers, we could see that opportunity more this week than we have had this season. So it makes me lean like if there was a week that I was gonna risk it on Ramondre, and I was like it's kind of like the Najee thing, right? Like Najee's been very underwhelming, and you're like, hey, do I risk it this week? Do I risk it this week? If there was a week that I was gonna risk it on Ramondre to play, I like this week more than I have previous for sure. I mean, we still don't know, but I could also see Sam Howell throwing a chunk and the Patriots playing from behind, which is a little, different for them. But we've seen this season, and so maybe he gets some good targets, gets open. They don't really have the outside pass rusher to follow, just thoughts there. Let's see. Josh popping in. I just made a trade in a 20-team PPR league, which, by the way, kudos for playing 20-team PPR. You are a baller. Traded away Rondell Moore and Jacoby Myers for DJ Moore. My roster is Lamar, JT, Aaron Jones, Tyreek, Christian Kirk, Kittle, and then now DJ Moore instead of Jacoby Myers. Do you like the trade?
I do. I mean, just to quickly say, I know Jacoby Myers has been good, but it hasn't been as good with Aiden O'Connell, and we'll kind of see like with the interim coach and how that shakes out. I'm actually expecting like heavy Josh Jacobs and Devontae Adams, and Jacoby Myers kind of getting phased out a little bit, unfortunately, in this offense. Rondale's kind of a non-factor. Whereas with DJ Moore, it's like it's been gross with Badgett, but he is still kind of a PPR floor play. And then Fields is, I think he's going to come back in a couple weeks, and then that would boost DJ Moore for that kind of playoff stretch. So, I mean, ultimately, I think I like DJ Moore as like the best piece in that deal. So you win.
And you like DJ Moore with no matter who's playing quarterback for Chicago?
Well, like I said, with Bilbo Badgett there out of the Shire, he's like at least in the safe PPR floor play. Like I'm not expecting a ceiling or anything, but like he's basically got the same ceiling floor right now as Jacoby Myers anyways. Whereas I see the upside for when Fields comes back. I don't see that anymore for Jacoby Myers for the rest of the season.
Yeah, Fields coming back definitely makes it a winning trade. So you're just kind of waiting for that.
Yeah, I agree. You're playing the upside with DJ Moore. You're gonna have to wait a couple more weeks probably, but I think the upside play is DJ Moore. I mean, look, Myers has been spectacular, but I don't see it continuing quite as much with O'Connell there.
Yeah, that's a tough one. We'll see how that plays out. I like DJ Moore over both, especially Rondell. I mean, that's not really much there. Now we don't know how that plays out with Kyler, but you're obviously getting the best player. Anytime you get the best player, that's something you might want to consider.
Well, especially when
go ahead.
Sorry, yeah, just especially when one of those guys, everything's changing. Like it's a different QB in there right now. The head coach is gone. Like everything's changing there, so we don't know like what's going to happen with Myers. So getting the best player is always a good situation to be in that type of trade.
Yeah.
Also, you said Kyler. I don't know why you said Kyler. It's Clayton Tune, who I watched hit a receiver in the back of the head in preseason. I don't think he's gotten that much better since.
It won't be Clayton Tune for very long. Like that's just
Clayton Tune possibly for the rest of the season. This is a tank job if I've ever seen one in my life. I don't think Kyler's coming back. I said it at the very beginning of the season. If for them to trade Dobbs, I think they traded Dobbs because he was too close to winning games. People expected them to get walked over by the Ravens, and they actually competed in that game and ended up only losing by a touchdown. I think that's why Dobbs got traded. Because he was actually competing, and they were like, oh, shit, he might actually win us some games here. We need to get this guy out of town and get Clayton Tune back there.
Are you buying this, Joe?
No. I think they need to get Kyler back on the field. I don't think they're going to win a whole lot of games regardless. But I do think they need to get him back on the field because ultimately I think they want to go after that number 1 pick. And they need to they need to be able to get rid of Kyler and get as much as they can for him. If not, trade up to the number 1 pick to go get him.
They just might waive the COD clause for this season. Let him play as much as he wants.
Yeah. Well, I saw somebody said on the last show, they were like, the new Call of Duty's coming out. Oh no, Kyler will be garbage again.
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm not a huge gamer. I pretty much play Madden, and since we started doing I haven't touched Madden. Like I just can't get time to get to it. So, but it's definitely going to be interested. And kudos to Gannon for going down there and like winning with like what everybody thought would just be slop. Like they're like, oh, Arizona will be the bottom. And he's like, let's bring in Josh Dobbs. Let's roll with James Conner, at running back, and let's try to do this with Marquise Brown as the wide receiver 1, and I've been surprised. Like they've been in games, they've been scoring a lot of points, which was wild, for a defensive coordinator. Like that's where they elevated was scoring points. But kudos to the Cardinals.
Yeah, and like that guy, he can't talk for nothing. He can motivate a fish to water. Like guys but he can walk, and that's I guess what matters.
So Steven said, I lost Cousins this week. Currently have Carr. Who's better rest of season in your opinion, Stroud or Fields?
Oh,
I mean,
that's interesting.
It's Fields normally, but the fact that Fields is going to be not available on a season-long scoring standard, you're going to end up that Stroud ends up higher. But because you have Carr, and I feel like you can lean on Carr as a QB2, I'm going to answer Fields here because it's like, also, I guess it would depend on who else is out on waivers, but like Fields, the problem with Fields too is, and I'm a Fields owner, is they keep putting him as doubtful when everybody and their grandmother knows he's out. So it's like you can't just leave him on IR. You have to roster 3 QBs or end up dropping Stroud. So I get it. Like maybe you're in a crunch, you're looking for that RB2 spot, whatever it is. I have a league where I have an empty spot on my RB2 because I'm waiting for Fields to get tagged out at some point so I can put him on my IR and pick somebody up. So if that's the situation you're in, then yeah, I would drop Stroud. I mean, it's not that big of a deal. You play Carr until Fields comes back.
Wait, you're dropping Stroud for Carr?
Yeah, if I have to in that situation, yeah. I
like Stroud so much better than Derek Carr.
Better talent, yes, but like Carr is surrounded with better talent. Is like
he's not using it. Carr hasn't used
Alvin
it yet.
Kamara for the floor. Like Carr has a baseline that Stroud doesn't have. They have about the same ceiling ultimately with their offenses. Like the difference between Carr and Stroud is negligible, and I feel like Carr's got some better matchups and better talent around him. Even though I like Stroud as a better real-life quarterback, I just feel like for fantasy, it's not big enough of a difference. And I'm imagining the situations like you're kind of forced into it of like, am I going to drop Fields here or am I going to drop Stroud? Because I absolutely have to make this move right now to go get whatever RB is out on waivers, wide receivers on waivers that I absolutely must have right now.
Yeah, I disagree with the ceiling on that. Like Derek Carr's had one game over 20 points, despite having better weapons around him. He's been bad. He has been so bad. Like Carr is droppable.
Well, he did come in later. He popped in later and he did say also available. I think this is maybe a pickup. Also available is Minshew, Heineke, and Levis.
Man, so I like Heineke this week.
Yeah, I think he's got Carr on his roster and he's trying to figure out who is that QB2. Is it Fields? Is it Stroud? Is it one of those guys? It sounds like Jack says Fields. Captain, you take.
It's close, but like Stroud's been healthy, and honestly, they have a better chance of competing in their division, so their games are going to matter. Like I don't know, it's weird. Texans have been beating some teams they shouldn't. They've been losing to teams they shouldn't. Like they're a weird one, and it's a bad division. Like their games are going to matter throughout the season, whereas somehow Carr, I don't know, I don't get it. Like I had Carr drafted in a lot of leagues with the talent around him. The guy's been bad.
So bad for 4 weeks, but if you look at the last 4 weeks, essentially with Alvin Kamara,
one game over 12.
He's had 3 games in a row over 300 yards, and the game before that he had 2 touchdowns. So it's been 18, 19, 18, 26.
But like 18, that's not a number I want. Like Stroud has given us games where he's getting 25, 26 points.
Just to tell you, in the last 4 games played for Derek Carr, he's the 14th ranked fantasy quarterback. Now he's ahead of Stroud, but by 4 points. So it's not much. The one thing I will say with Stroud is that this offense has shifted more to a run-focused offense in the last couple of weeks. They've utilized more Singletary, which is strange considering how quickly Stroud just hit the ground running here, man. It was amazing the first few weeks, and then they were just like, nah, never mind. We're gonna run Pierce into this wall of our offensive line that's terrible, and then we're gonna run sweeps with Singletary, and now Pierce is out. So maybe this week they shift gears and they go back to more of the passing game because they might have to. If I were to say Fields were going to be back in next week, I would say drop Carr, pick up Heineke, and then use Fields the rest of the season. I don't know if that's going to happen though. Like we don't know when Fields is coming back. So maybe you can just put with all of those options on your waiver wire. Maybe play the streaming game. Stash Fields because he's the clear high upside play out of everybody you just mentioned.
Carr the next 2 weeks though, Chicago and then at Minnesota.
Yeah, I know Carr has a sweet matchup this week, but I still have Howell above him.
He's still scoring you at 18 points.
Who, Carr?
Yeah, he's just going to 18 points like every week.
If Carr and Olave could ever just go out for breakfast, have some waffles, get on the same page, all of a sudden we might have an elite pairing. But for some reason, their chemistry is zilch. They're like the people that met on the blind date, and then we're trying to fake the phone call to figure out how to get out of it. That's what you're dealing with in that situation.
Yeah.
Somehow they're just not gelling, even with the targets. If that
dude, I have so much Olave, I'm losing my mind. But yeah, just to kind of reiterate what I'm saying too is Howell's the play this week. I mentioned the last 4 games played. This is in the last 4 weeks. This is the last 4 games that these quarterbacks have actually played. Sam Howell is the 3rd ranked fantasy quarterback. So he's got a enormous ceiling for some strange reason, which just as a Commanders fan, I'm just kind of like, what? I mean, I knew he was better than people thought, but holy cow, he gets sacked a lot, but he's still putting up points.
Yeah, they just start the game and they're like, hey man, just chunk it. Just all game, go out there and just freaking chunk it. And
just don't play the Giants because apparently that's the team he can't play. What? That was a weird one.
So we'll keep moving. We got a lot of questions in there, and we haven't even got to one over in the forum yet. So last night I had 6 minutes to choose between Pickens, DJ Moore, and Deontay Johnson. Had Pickens, Flowers, and Moore. Traded Kirk, Dak. Okay, hold on. Had Pickens, Flowers, and Moore. Traded Kirk and Dak for Kittle and Garrett Wilson. So I put Wilson over Moore.
Oof. So you played both Steelers receivers? Is that what it sounds like? I'm so confused. Where'd Flowers come from?
Yeah, I know. I'm confused too. We're gonna. I will say this: everybody was excited last night when Deontay Johnson finally got a touchdown, and everybody like me. I don't know about you, but I played Pickens in a lot of leagues, and I was watching the game, and then he got that touchdown catch on the side end zone. Yes, and then all of a sudden it was like wah, foot out of bounds.
We do our show live Like, so we started at halftime of the game. We kind of go through like the third quarter. That touchdown happened in the third quarter. And I kind of looked over and I was like, yeah, not paying attention, doing the show. All of a sudden I look over and somebody's like, yeah, Pickens didn't do anything. But I'm like, we caught a touchdown. Oh, wait, what? I'm looking at my TV over here going, wait, what happened? Why does he got nothing? Yeah, that was bad.
Yeah,
But
he
I do have
tweeted the
DeAndre
photo
Johnson
of
in a lot
him.
of places too, so I guess I can't be too mad.
Yeah, Pickens tweeted the photo of him catching the ball with his back foot in the air, like a good, like, huge step away from the end zone. He's like, "This is haunting me," and I'm like, "Yeah, it's haunting all of us."
It's haunting everybody.
Yeah, all you had to do was slap that foot down. Come on.
It's like an after Halloween present, just haunt. Okay, so keep moving. Got a big question here, and this is something that I've heard a lot of people talking about, and I'm curious to know what you guys think. Josh is asking, what do you guys think Demario Douglas, fantasy potential this season? Obviously lots of injuries there. Juju got his first touchdown of the season last week with Bourne going out. I mean, do you think what's the play there? Where are you putting Demario Douglas in the rankings there?
This season not so good, because I think even with because I mean Kendrick Bourne wasn't lighting it up consistently in that offense before he went out, and now he did go out and Douglas was seeing the targets. Like I think they need a different quarterback and a different, maybe, I don't know, play caller for the offense. It's everything seems stale there. Like nothing seems consistent. I don't want to touch it. Like he's a desperate flex play if you have a lot of guys on bye. Like it's not pretty if you're having to start him in an actual wide receiver slot. But
yeah, I mean, I mean, we know how ugly this wide receiver slate is. Like if you play DFS, you're looking at this wide receiver slate and just going like, oh, this is bad. My rankings, and granted this is half PPR, I've adjusted this since I updated these last night, but he's in that like 40-ish range for receivers this week, and I mean that's just a volume play, but like it's not going to be good volume. He's got a little bit of upside because of he probably is the number one target there. Yeah, but I mean it's not good. I mean he's down there with like Romeo Doubs, an injured Josh Palmer, those types of guys, Christian Watson who can't do anything, in Green Bay, and he's down there with those guys. With the Curtis Samuel news, I actually moved Dotson ahead of him, just this morning or just this afternoon. I mean, so yeah, I'm with you, Captain. That offense is ugly. I don't want to rely on it. Bourne was okay, but wide receiver 3 at best.
Yeah, I don't really do the ranking stuff, but that's basically what I was going to say is Bourne was like a sneaky wide receiver 3. He'd go out and get you 6 for 90 and a touch sometimes, and Pop Douglas can do that too, but like not really on a consistent or reliable basis. It's more like if you're in a 14-16 or if you're in that 20-team league that Buddy mentioned earlier, like, okay, he's a fine play at that point, but you shouldn't be messing with it in 10-team.
Yeah, and to me, like, who's to say that he is going to turn into the de facto number one? I know we've seen some of the targets go his way, especially last week when Bourne got injured. But sometimes it takes an injury for them to have to like reshuffle players around. And would anybody be totally shocked if it was Juju that ended up becoming the target hog there? I kind of thought he was going to be all along this year, but he's just been miserable there. But he's also been injured, so that doesn't help. And so they've got some savvy vets there that I think could do it. Yeah, Douglas is probably he's the young new shiny toy that everybody wants to believe is going to be the guy. But how many times have we said that in New England and it doesn't work?
Yeah, and they could totally start like scheming for it to be Juju to be priority now. Like it might have been more balanced, and they're like, sure, he did it, but we kind of need him to be maybe getting the second looks of a defense and just let Juju do his thing. But
hey, and go figure. As soon as Bourne got hurt,
Juju
got his first touchdown.
Yeah. All right, moving along, man. There's so many questions popping in. I was like hoping to get over to the network, and we're like still like getting just filled up with questions and trying to make it through. So Anthony popped in. He said he benched Pickens to bring in Moore and grab Deontay off waivers last week, last minute. And he figured Johnson would be back. So he slid him in at 8:12, but 8:15 he had a change of heart and for Pickens and went to go put Pickens in, but it was too late. So thank God he was behind the buzzer, and now he's going to play DJ Moore instead of getting Pickens too. Well, time was in your favor. Appreciate the story. I hope DJ Moore does it for you. All right, Jack, this is one for you real quick because it's totally off topic, but real talk, Diesel or Razor, winner takes all.
That guy, obviously. That's easy for me. It's Razor Ramon, Chico.
All the wrestling stuff. I'm not a big wrestling fan. I
had no idea what was going on.
Yeah, I don't know. Like, I'm just like, well, cool. Whatever happens, cool. Let's keep moving. That's funny. All right, would you trade right now Gus Edwards and Gabe Davis for Josh Jacobs?
Oh, yes.
Immediately.
Yeah, I'm
Hit
doing
that
this
button.
and not thinking about it.
This is highway robbery.
Run.
Absolute.
Have the getaway car ready because they're coming for you. Dude,
Yeah.
that's awful.
You might have the only thing that helps you is you got Gus after that big week.
Throws the whole league into a fit. Like for me, the way I run my leagues is I have Commissioner Thanos powers. So I look at the trade. I look at the manager. I'm like, all right, these guys are good.
Yeah.
Fine, whatever. I just put it through. It is what it is. I'm not gonna tell grown-ups how to manage their teams, especially in like my money leagues and stuff like that. But this is one of those trades where it's like in the leagues where it goes to a league vote, I could see it not passing.
Yeah, me too. But who knows, man? People are buying in on Gus Edwards after the last couple of weeks. But no, this is Jacobs, hands down.
Yeah.
And Gabe Davis after 12 targets, that's never happening again. It'll happen in like week 18.
No, I think with Antonio Pierce taking over too, like Jacobs, his workload is about to shoot through the roof.
Yeah, this is going back to the Jacobs Adams show in Vegas.
Yeah, I'm all for this deal. Sell Gus. That's a perfect sell Gus Edwards after a big week, Gabe Davis after a big week, and getting you somebody that doesn't have a quarterback really right now, and they're gonna load Jacobs up,
Mm-hmm.
And he's getting better and better. I feel like the more touches he's getting, so I'm glad to see that.
Yeah, no, I would be pissed to process this as a commissioner in one of my leagues because I'd be like, God damn it, why didn't I think of this?
Fantasy Fish stopping in. Yo, what's up, Fish? Hey, guys, if you're tuned in right now, again, like and subscribe. Hope you're enjoying the content. Pop your questions in the chat. We're enjoying hanging out with you guys. Let's see. And Steven, anytime, man, anytime you tune in, we're all happy to help out. We have we're on every Friday at 9:00 Central Time. All right, 10-team PPR. Tony Pollard and Tyreek Hill or Alvin Kamara and Jamar Chase. Which side?
Kamara Chase.
I was thinking the same thing. I love Hill.
Yeah.
But Pollard's been a massive disappointment after the first couple of weeks this year.
Pollard is like, at first I was having to eat crow on it. Now I'm taking the victory lap because he was in my bust list all along. And it was, my whole thing was, I think Pollard's a talented running back, but I hate offenses like McCarthy and Schottenheimer where they run this terrible inside zone scheme where they're like, hey, Pollard, how about you taking up the center's ass 20 times a game instead of having him go outside zone into some space where he's actually like way more effective and has been through his entire career. So it's unfortunate, like he doesn't really fit the scheme and he was getting it done sheerly on volume and efficiency at the beginning of the year, which is also why Dak sucked at the beginning of the year. And now it's just kind of flipped to the Dak and CD show. And it's the defense. The defense is suppressing the offense, whether it's the run game or the pass game. There is no situation really where both are existing, and he just hasn't been as involved in the pass game. Whereas with Kamara, like the pass game is absolutely ridiculous with Derek Carr. it's like 10 to 12 receptions a game. Forget the targets. Like they're just the receptions alone.
Yeah, he's getting 12 points off of receptions like every game. It's nasty.
No, the baseline is intense. And then with Jamar Chase, like it's Jamar Chase.
Yeah. I mean, I don't think so. He said later, he was like, dang, looks like I got to up my offer. So if you're offering that, you send it. I mean, Tyreek Hill is big enough. He's boom enough that somebody might take it. You know what I mean? They might accept that deal, especially, if they're still hanging on to this idea that Pollard could be what he was. I agree. I mean, Joe, and you're probably going to say, I agree that Pollard's not built for that offensive scheme.
Yeah, I mean, look, it's not as lopsided as as we kind of made it sound. I mean, when you really look at the total points, I mean, Tyreek Hill's got like 60 to 70 more total PPR points than Jamar Chase right now. But of course, you also got to factor in that the first couple of games there were just awful. So the last 4 games, that's gotten trimmed down to 6 points. So say what you will, but Tyreek Hill is still probably going to finish with more overall points than Chase, but I think the rest of the season it's going to be a little bit closer.
Yeah. I like the deal. I would want the Kamara Chase side. I love Hill. I would be probably trying to figure out if I could put Pollard in like some, side piece, in there and just grab Kamara and keep Kamara and Hill. But, what's your thoughts, Captain? I know you're over there munching on those Smarties, but I'm sure you've got thoughts on this.
Yeah, no, I think for a lot of people, this probably seems like a really even trade just because Tyreek Hill's been so consistent. Guys having big weeks every week, whereas Chase, it's as much as it was a slow start this year, he's done that in the past where there's just games he just disappears, but then he gives you 30 points the next 2 weeks, and so you're pretty happy with that. Pollard's kind of him and Kamara. The expectations for those two guys start of season, they've kind of had a Freaky Friday thing there. It's Kamara's doing what we were hoping Pollard would be doing, and Pollard's doing what everyone thought Kamara would be doing, splitting time more with Miller. But it's just been the Kamara show. Everyone's been happy with that. I think it's a pretty even trade just because I think a lot of people are still going to see Hill being you downgrade Hill to Chase a small bit, upgrade Pollard to Kamara a bit, especially in dynasty leagues. I think it's pretty even. I think he can get away with it.
Yeah, I'm with you. And Mr. Grapefruit is with you too. So that's good. I'm glad that you're enjoying the content there. Let's see. Next question. Hey, who do you think will be Dallas's second option this week? Brandon Cooks or Jake Ferguson?
I'm lighting a candle to manifest the Brandon Cooks game because I need it in an 18-man guillotine league. I'm hanging on for dear life, and I'm struggling with just injuries across the board. Has there ever been a worse year for injuries in fantasy football? There hasn't.
Incredible.
And you know what? I Googled it. And the crazy thing was I Googled it weeks ago, when it was week 4 and we were already in the muck with the injuries. And the last one, I think, if I remember right, it was 2020, where there was just a litany of season-ending injuries to fantasy relevant players. And it was just kind of crazy. But this year it has been even more than the last time that it happened. So across the board, Justin Jefferson, I've got on IR. Nick Chubb, I've got on IR in that league. Deontay Johnson, I just got back. It's I've got Devon Achane on IR in a million places. My IRs are studly this year.
Everybody's IRs are studly.
Yeah.
I mean, you got top players at their positions on IR. It's crazy. All right, I'm gonna. You got something you want to say, Joe? We're all crying that boohoo story, right?
No, I mean, honestly, yeah, we're all feeling it, man.
Yeah,
I get you.
It's tough. We're losing one guy a week.
Yeah, I mean, they're pretty close, honestly. I mean, if I'm gonna hang my hat on something, I'm gonna probably hang it on a receiver. to get it done over a tight end. But
Playing the
Dak
Eagles,
likes
they
his tight
need
ends,
it.
but I'd rather go with Brandon Cooks.
Yeah, and I think
Yeah.
Dallas needs it to be Cooks this week against the Eagles.
I think that's the thing that makes you, worry. So I mean, obviously the Eagles haven't been amazing against the tight end, but
Mhm.
Dak, for some reason, I don't know what it is. He looks for Jake Ferguson in the red zone. It's interesting to me, with the receivers he has. You got Brandon Cooks, you got CD. I mean, his first read always seems to be Jake Ferguson, or the tight end, that's who he's looking for. And so, I like it. It just depends that it's either or, because you could have this shootout, you could have a touchdown, you could have Brandon Cooks get 70 yards receiving. We don't really know, but I'm with you. It's whenever you get those two, it's kind of like a shot, but I guess with the tight ends that have went down this week, you lost Waller, and the ones that are out there that aren't on bye, you may have to play a Ferguson, if you have to roster that spot, and it's not like a flex play. You know what I mean? If you have somebody better, you can put into the flex and then pop Ferguson into the tight end spot. I don't know what your roster looks like, but all those are things that I'm considering. He did say it was full PPR.
I do like both this week because the thing with the Dallas Eagles matchup is they're both vaunted defenses, but both of the defensive back rooms are beat up on both sides. So Dallas, obviously, with the injuries that they've sustained, and the Eagles, that's how they've been beat basically all year, is through the air. So I think this could turn into a crazy shootout type game where it is going to end up being a Dak, CD, and then auxiliary receiving weapons. A little bit less of a Pollard game because the run defense for the Eagles is so good. So again, Pollard may struggle. But man, I'm trying to get everything I can for passing options in this game, especially if I'm in a situation where I'm looking for the upside. If you're 2-6 at this point and you're just trying to take a swing at it, I like Brandon Cooks, I like Jake Ferguson, I like both of those options basically.
Yeah. Hey, so obviously, you guys know that we're trying to hit everybody's questions as much as we can. If you do a super chat, we're going to elevate your question to priority. So just putting that out there. We got one in. So as we hit this question, we'll try to go back and get you other guys. We don't want to miss out on answering your stuff as well. But question popping up from Caden, 12-man PPR. Josh Allen, Saquon, Rashad White, Keenan Allen, Hollywood, Hawkinson, Gabe Davis, Christian Watson, Taysom Hill, Chuba, Rashid Charbonnet. So that's your roster. He's the person's 5-3. Question is, I guess, roster review, advice seeking. So if this is your roster, we'll go around the board real quick. Joe, we'll go Joe, Jack, captain. What is a move that you're looking to make or something that you're thinking about doing to set this up to the next level going rest of season? Start us off.
So, I mean, right off the bat,
Yeah, you got to upgrade back receiver too.
I'm taking Saquon, and I'm taking either Hollywood or maybe Christian Watson or maybe Rashee Rice. And I'm going after Josh Jacobs. We talked about it earlier. I do believe that Jacobs is going to smash for the rest of the season. And then the way I like to do those trades is look for a lower end wide receiver on their team. That's a slight upgrade going from their wide receiver to yours. So a perfect example would be Brandon Cooks, we just talked about in the previous question. So if you could do something like Saquon, Gabe Davis for Josh Jacobs, Brandon Cooks, just as an example. I actually think that your running back room is the biggest worry for me with only Saquon and Rashad White. You're kind of good at wide receiver. You got Keenan, and then, those are all decently wide receiver 2 and 3 options. Hawkinson, even with the downgrade for a week or two at quarterback, you're going to get Dobbs in, who just was having Trey McBride go off for tight end 1 week. So I like him still. Taysom Hill still, viable as spot starts. Yeah, I don't hate it, but like Chuba and Charbonnet really, I don't know if he's going to be able to take over at any time over Ken Walker unless Ken Walker just outright gets injured. So I think that's the one spot where I'd be really trying to upgrade is my running back. And I think Jacobs could legitimately be a running back one rest of season if all of a sudden Antonio Pierce is like, yeah, I'm just going to give Jacobs 25 touches a game, which is what he should be doing.
Yeah.
See, I actually worry with his, outside of Keenan, his receivers are very boom bust. Hollywood Brown, especially now, we have no idea what's going on there, right? We don't know who's really going to play playing quarterback. Even if Kyler does come back, I mean, how much do we really trust him to be worth a damn this season? Gabe Davis is... I can not ever figure out when to start Gabe Davis and when to bench Gabe Davis. I'm always wrong. So good luck. Christian Watson and that Packers passing offense has been atrocious since week, 3? So that's where I actually look to upgrade. And what you might be able to do is pair somebody like a Hollywood, right, with the quarterback issues there, or Gabe Davis coming off that massive game. Maybe pair him with, you could try Taysom, but I hope you've probably got more savvy owners in your league that, realize that that's, very hit or miss. But you might be able to pair him with a Hawkinson, get a decent tight end back that you can, at least somewhat rely on, but it's not, right now Hawks, tight end 3-2 on the season.
Yeah, we got a new quarterback though.
But then you go out and get a receiver, maybe you go grab like a Devontae Adams who, I know we all don't really love O'Connell, but I don't know. I just think that the squeaky wheel is going to get, what he wants eventually in that offense. Like O'Connell will be very stupid not to just, and this offense needs to go through Devontae Adams. And so, maybe that's a guy that you could go after. And I think that's a pretty big upgrade over Hollywood. And then, you're not downgrading too much elsewhere.
Yeah. Anything you would add, Captain?
Yeah, it's and I'm gonna be honest, until Joe was speaking there about Hawkinson, I wasn't even looking that direction to downgrade Hawkinson a little bit, because outside of I don't know, like Kelsey and Andrews, Laporta just being so consistent, Hawkinson getting a new quarterback, a lot of people might not be thinking about that. So to downgrade him, because there's a lot of middling guys, like tight end, it's been so weird this year. There's a lot of guys giving you like 10 points pretty consistently, which isn't what we've always been used to. So I'd be looking at the waiver wire, see if there's other tight ends available,
Trey
like
McBride
Logan Thomas, Trey McBride.
I was just gonna say Logan Thomas might even just be available, but like you might be able to go trade for like a Dalton Kincaid, who, I know, just had like a big game, but I mean, he's gonna be the only man in town for a while.
I was gonna say, if Logan Thomas or someone's there on the waivers, I wouldn't even downgrade the tight end. I'd probably ship Hawkinson with a Gabe Davis or a Hollywood, like you said, for a Devontae, and then just go pick up or even someone, because I don't know if we'll be able to do, like, Hawkinson people could be pretty high on. I think you could get a good wide receiver in there. You might even be able to get something a little higher than Adams without taking a tight end downgrade, and then just go grab someone off waiver wire. But first thing, I'd be going with Charbonnet there. I'd be going over to the Walker owner and try to throw him the wide receiver just to see if you can upgrade Gabe Davis or Watson a little bit, even. Just because, like, Watson, it's so weird. That Packers offense looked promising for a couple of weeks, and now it's just not. But Gabe Davis is a great flex player because he can explode for you, and super, super happy. But that's the only place I feel really comfortable starting him consistently is there. So I like the idea of pairing Hawk.
Yeah, no, I love that. Downgrading Hawk, especially with the unknown at quarterback that we're going to have. Although Josh Dobbs did really look tight end heavily when, while he was in Arizona, if he gets that start, which I think will probably happen within the couple weeks, I think Hawk probably takes another lift and you get that premium. For me, if I was to make a quick move today, Chuba's finally been announced the starter in that world, right?
Mhm.
Then you have Sharp. Sharp got more snap percentage last week than Kenneth Walker, and it seems somehow, at least for a short time, because it's not the Pete Carroll way, but they went pass heavy, and with pass heavy, that's why Sharp got more touches, And so, I'm maybe trying to sell high, right? Like sell high on those two and get me like a big wide receiver. Even like you mentioned, like Devontae Adams' stock is really low right now. You may be able to go to like a running back needy team and be like, hey, Chuba was just announced the starter. I'll slide him to you for Devontae, and I'll throw in, this little piece on the side, or like I'm trying to play the market right here. And when Chuba started, he had a good game, so you at least have that in your fold as you try to sell this. But you definitely got to go different positions. Like if you go trying to trade Chuba for another running back, that doesn't work, right?
I have a problem trading a running back at this point anyway, with only 4 on his roster, and 2 are pretty big question marks, Charbonnet and Chuba. I just if you give up a running back, who are you replacing him with?
Well, I'd only move 1 max.
I wouldn't trade any of them. I just couldn't do it.
And that's fair.
The depth is everybody. You need running back depth this year. We've seen more than I feel like any season. It's bad.
But in a 12-man, it's even thinner, right? So maybe you go to the Sanders owner and you really sell like Chuba high to him, and maybe that's where you get a studly wide receiver, and you can move Hawk and Watson or something for another running back elsewhere. But T. Higgins is a guy I'm trying to buy in a few leagues just because he's been really quiet this year. Like, it's as much as the Bengals have been clicking of late, it hasn't been T. Higgins. That's he's just kind of been quiet.
Fairly quiet guys. Like, there's certain players I feel like that produce but are just perennially undervalued even by their own fantasy managers. So like Michael Pittman is a great trade for candidate. He's been going off all year and nobody gives a shit. So it's like he's one guy that I love. Mike Evans with the Bucks is just like it does ebb and flow a little bit, but it's been more kind of on the downtrend as of late. So it feels like he's a buy. I just bought Christian Kirk in a league where it was, I think, last week before Gibbs went off. I got Gibbs and Kirk. I sent Olave and James Cook. So that one felt really
wow.
Yeah.
Hey, Jack is the king of like just out there trades. But it tends to work out for him. That's one of the reasons I love having him on the show. It's always like some wacky thing that you're like, why would you do that? But, it can make sense, and it often does in his head, and he's successful. So, but definitely interesting. So we got a few more we're trying to push through here as we kind of come towards the end, and we're going to go over. I'm going to go real quick before we get to Steven's question. And Caden, thanks for the thanks for the super chat. Hope that was helpful. I see your chat in there. Appreciate you. So we're all a part of fantasyfootballadvice.com. This is our free fantasy football community where you can, like these questions that you're hitting in the chat, you can come over there. It's free to join. Obviously, we have pro membership options, but it's free to join, and you can pop in for free and you can ask your questions. You have people like us that are always in there that are answering, that are helping, giving you start sits, and you got a ton of content creators that have their stuff on there. Jack posted a killer article today and yesterday. I mean, just back-to-back ballers, on some trendy stuff from Twitter. So, there's always good content there. Again, that's fantasyfootballadvice.com. So we're going to flip over there real quick. Just show you an example, pop a question off there. So this one was interesting for me. D-Train52 asking, Olave and Hurts for Burrow and Puka, who wins the trade long term?
I mean, now with the
all right, that makes your stomach grumble. You're like, oh.
Well, because before the Stafford injury, I would have said Burrow and Puka, but now that Stafford's injured and Puka's also showing up as questionable, and I think it's the infamous hamstring that we've seen from so many wide receivers this year, including his own teammate. that kept Cooper Kupp out at the beginning of the year. We'll see how much that hampers him. But even with his struggles, it feels like it's Olave and Hurts pretty easily.
I agree.
Yeah, it's everything's screaming at me that it's Olave and Hurts, but I just like trying to overthink it a little bit. Like if it's like, are we talking long term, like 2 seasons, 3 seasons from now? Like it might be Burrow and Puka. Like I love Hurts. Don't get me wrong, I like him better than Burrow, but like somehow the Saints need a Carr's not doing it with Olave, and I'm not liking it. I don't know if they need a coaching change.
Nobody likes it.
I just don't. This if this is
The
Olave's
targets are
ceiling
there.
with
He's
Derek
ninth in
Carr,
targets. It's just not connecting.
It's just the
so
quality of
bizarre.
targets isn't there. Like I saw the Houston Saints game down in Houston a couple weeks ago, and one of Olave's biggest catches, like 30 yards, was literally a Hail Mary that should have been intercepted. I don't know how Olave came down with the ball, but it was some Will Levis shit. It was gross. It was unbelievably bad. But it's just that it hurt. It really hurt. It's Olave's future. I don't like. It's only going to get better once Michael Thomas is gone, but I just don't see a situation where they make a QB change, and I think they kind of need. I think Olave needs that.
Yeah, I mean, I agree. Olave and Hurts is a strong side there. Obviously, everybody in the comments on that post agreed. So, I mean, go to fantasyfootballadvice.com. You can also upload your rosters. Like if you have questions like about rostering or anything like that, you can you can upload a picture of your roster to give us content or context for like your question, and then like this, what can I do to improve my team to win a championship? And you got people that are going to come in and they're gonna give you good content on those questions. So make sure you go to fantasyfootballadvice.com and check it out. We're going to hit a few more questions in the chat.
Quick aside, though, because you said it gives us good content, and it's like, yeah, it does, because every Sunday morning on the live streams, that's where I pull 90% of my questions from is from the network. So if you're posting questions, then there's a good chance I'll be answering them on Sunday mornings.
There you go. So next question, Steven popped in again. Someone offered me Nico and Judy for Kamara. Should I laugh at them? I don't think it's laughable. You're getting Nico in there, but this is the classic, like, let me give you a wide receiver 2, let me give you a wide receiver 3, and like let me try to get the best player in the trade.
Yeah,
I mean,
that's enough for me.
This is that part in George of the Jungle. Let's all throw our heads back and laugh.
Sure. I appreciate it. Sports Affiliation just giving us a little bit of love, killing it on the show. Anthony, Hunt or Ford? I love this question this week. Which way are you going? You going Hunt or you going Ford? Anthony, appreciate this doozy.
I literally keep swapping Hunt and Ford in my rankings. I think now I'm leaning Ford with the news that he's healthy, like ahead of time.
Yeah, and I think Ford will get most of the rushing work. I just think Hunt makes up for it with some catches somewhere in there. So they really could both finish with 8 to like 14 points, depending on who gets a touchdown. Like it's weird. It's either one could do better, and it wouldn't surprise me. And I'm starting either one over Christian Watson at this point. I can't.
Oh yeah.
Well, yeah, that's the thing. Is it doesn't matter which one you start over Christian Watson. It's the right answer. But between the two, I'm going with Kareem Hunt, 2 touchdown game. It's just how it's going to be. Even if Jerome Ford comes back and just like has like a bunch of work and looks great, that's what the Browns do. They even used to do this with Nick Chubb. It was super annoying. Nick Chubb would come in, have 100 yards, great game. Goal line, send Kareem Hunt in there, 2 touchdowns.
It's weird. Like you mentioned the receiving work. Like Kareem's not getting that anymore. That's not a factor. I mean, he's seen 8 targets in 5 weeks.
Yeah. The thing I love about, and it makes this is what makes it hard. You know what I'm saying? Like, so, you got Hunt. Hunt's having like like a canine start. Like, I mean, he's got 4 touchdowns in the last 3 games.
Yeah.
You know, like they're using him for touchdowns. So yeah, Ford may get work, but Hunt may get a touchdown. But, you know, I've talked about it all season. If there's a running, like if I want to run behind an offensive line, I want to run the ball in Cleveland because Cleveland can run the ball. And I think that we've seen, even over the last few years with the Chubb and the Hunt all together, Cleveland can make 2 running backs viable for a start. So especially like in a world we're in where you're in week 9, you've got a ton of players on bye. I actually wouldn't mind playing both. Playing one at running back and one in my flex, and I wouldn't cry over it because I think the floor is probably still double digits for both. Which is probably you've got them right side by side in your rankings.
Yeah. No, I mean, and they, you know, they kind of flip flop. I think, yeah, they're really close. I think Ford gets the slight edge for like maybe a safer floor because he does get more overall work. But you're right. If you add it, you know, you want to go ceiling, Kareem Hunt, I mean, 9 red zone attempts, most for this team all season, and he's played less games than every single other running back on this team except for Chubb.
So his follow-up, he said, so then if he was going to do something like that, does he put in Hunt over DK?
Ooh.
That's tough because in the fluctuation of offenses, Seattle is in a pass-heavy season. Like, you know, you go through run-heavy season, and you go pass-heavy season, and then you go back to running. So that's a hard call.
I don't think you start him over DK. I know DK has been a little disappointing, but like he's had a lot of targets his last 2 games that he's played, so it's trending the right way for him.
So I was gonna say he had 14 targets last week, and
that's insane.
Against the Ravens.
Yeah, I'm DK.
Keep up. I'm going with DK still.
Yeah.
So, sorry, we've got like 2 more minutes to speed clear these 2 questions. We're 8 minutes over already, but we're trying to get to all you guys' stuff. If for some reason you have questions and we are not able to get to them, go to fantasyfootballadvice.com. Post them in there. I promise you we'll jump on there and we'll answer those questions, whether it be after the show or tomorrow morning. So
I'm going to answer some now.
Yeah. Hey, who should I start full PPR? Godwin, Downs, or Jacoby Myers? Also, for my running backs, I have Mostert, Pollard, Swift, and JT. Well, you're not. Did they announce today that Downs was out?
He's questionable still. I was just looking at that.
This is Godwin easily.
Yeah, I mean, I'm definitely Godwin. The difference is between Downs and Jacoby Myers. If Downs is healthy, I actually lean Downs.
Well, they said who should I start, so I assume they were only asking for one.
Yeah, Godwin there.
If they want 2, then I would go with Myers because I think Downs is questionable.
And then at running backs, I mean, if you got these running backs, I think you're easy for like a 1-2 and then pop the other one in the flex if you can. I mean, that seems to be your strength right there.
Yeah, I rank it JT, Swift, Mostert, Pollard.
He said he already started Deontay. So he's got Deontay. Then you're just going Godwin. And then, yeah, I'm with Joe. You're going hold on. What was your order?
I said JT, Swift, Mostert, Pollard.
I mean, I have Swift, JT, Mostert, Pollard, but same difference.
I mean, Swift and JT are back to back for me.
Yeah, they're the first 2, I think, for everyone. Yeah, I think Pollard Pollard should be last for me, I think.
And then last question of the night, if you have any more, again, fantasyfootballadvice.com. Ask your questions there. We're happy to help. It's free to join. Post your questions there. We'll be on to answer. Would it be smart to start Raiders defense on Sunday, just streaming defenses at this point?
I mean, they play the Giants. It's not too bad.
I'm using them. I mean, they're tied with the Commanders for most sacks allowed, and I know a lot of people want to say, oh, that's because Daniel Jones wasn't there. Well, no, they actually allowed more sacks with Daniel Jones in. So go at it. The front for Oakland is nasty, and Max Crosby is going to eat, in my opinion.
I do like the get-up game with Antonio Pierce and against the Giants. Like, it feels like a little bit of extra revenge for him. So, I've been burned by the Raiders before this year because I thought their defense would actually be a little better all along. I really like the Chargers this week, though, for like a streaming defense on Monday night against the Jets. I just love picking on the Jets, and the fact that they just decided to stick with Zach Wilson. He's due for either low yardage or a couple turnovers, no matter what.
It's weird, man. Like the Jets have protected the ball. That's the one thing, and the Giants haven't. So that's where I'm going. The Giants are allowing sacks. They're turning the ball over. The Raiders might allow some points, but they're gonna be kind of safe. They've got that kind of safe floor because they're gonna get sacks and probably a turnover or two.
No, yeah. I agree because of the switch over to Antonio Pierce. If it was still McDaniels, I would be very much more on the side of the Chargers, but just throwing it out there in case someone scooped the Raiders and there's other people looking for streamers out there. I like both of those. I would still put Raiders above Chargers because of the switch. I think it is going to be a get-up game for them.
I might be crazy, but I actually, in a lot of DFS for really cheap, I played the Giants defense this week. Last time Aiden O'Connell started, he threw an interception and he was sacked 7 times. The reason that we have no Jimmy G this week is because he was sacked. I don't even know how many times last game. And Kayvon Thibodeau has been getting to the quarterback. And so to me, there's a little bit of that, I think the Giants literally just played a heck of a defensive game last week. If they play like that against the Raiders in the Raiders situation that they're in, I think that they could be a sneaky play this week if you're looking for a streamer.
Another streaming defense could be the Falcons going against Minnesota, and we got Jaron Hall at quarterback, and who knows what to expect there.
Yeah. Yeah, so there you go. Hopefully there's you a couple that'll help you. Again, thanks everybody for tuning in. Hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, go to fantasyfootballadvice.com, and then one time just around the clock, tell everybody where they can find your work if they want to come check out some of your content, stuff like that. Joe, start us off.
Yeah, again, Joe Bond, fantasy6pack.net is where you can find all of our stuff. Become an all-access member over there to get access to our award-winning rankings. You can find me on Twitter at F6P_Joe. And thanks for having me on, guys. I had a fun night.
Yeah. Jack?
Let me talk to you. You can find the Fantasy Football Joker on YouTube, on Twitter, on Facebook, on TikTok, and officially on Spotify, and all my articles at the network, Fantasy Football Advice Network. But the real thing that we're working on is the Wildcard Wednesday shows. Please go check those out on YouTube and Spotify.
Yeah. Captain?
Cool. Hey there. Yeah, Captain. You can find me here almost once a week with the Fantasy Football Advice Network, as well as Instagram and Twitter at FFAN Captain, both Instagram and Twitter.
And my name is Tyler. I appreciate you tuning in. You guys are killer. Everybody in the show, you guys killed it tonight. Thanks so much. And again, we will see you next week, 9:00 Central Time. Don't miss it. No place better to be. Blow off your Friday night date and come hang out with us here from the forum. We'll see you next week.